rotting driftwood on the foreign shores, spilling out into the ocean floor, and the memories all you've left without a trace. Paralyzed with the thoughts receding, current sweeps you with the silent bleeding through the heart into the darkest place. Well, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. You see the ground as it bleeds in the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. All the secrets that you're holding, all the memories you hide, all the frail thoughts that echo in the corners of your mind, they won't even last a moment. They will soon be swept away when the ocean takes you in its arms and carries you away. You carry all your burdens on the cross around your neck. You take whatever's left that you could salvage from the wreck, and the hard past will follow you like a lost dog on the beach, nipping at your trail till you've drifted out of reach. Yeah, turn around, there's nothing to see here. Run away, no reason to be here. It's the ghost who never goes away. Turn around and leave this behind now. See the ground as it bleeds to the sky now. You fight the sea, you're always gonna drown. In a broken line horizon, in the castles made of sand, you tried to hold it in your hands, you tried to understand it. The ocean asks the questions, and it holds the answers too. It dissolves away the lies about the things you thought you knew.
Hello, my friends. 'Tis I, Dame Amager Kalirania. My heart and my sword are yours. And, I'm not lighting up. What did you do wrong this time, Cougar? Hang on. No. No, still not liking it. Wait. Oh, okay. Alright, now this is a more complicated problem, isn't it? Let me see if I can very quickly attempt to fix this. Pardon everyone. Hello, John. Sorry about this. I thought it was working okay, but I guess I didn't test the actually pushing the button to light up Adelath here.
You actually said that all the technical stuff is working, and
I
that's why
said,
it's
yeah.
not.
Here's the thing. I I had him on screen and all, but I fixed up some stuff, but I thought. Okay, so it's need to be. Yeah, I really need to write an actual checklist of things that I have to actually do and make sure they're working. Oh well, scuff. 'Tis a long-standing tradition. All right, let me check my. I need to get into my scripts folder. This is the. Display it. No, that looks fine. Huh. Well, I guess you're just gonna be dim today. Add. Well. No, wait. No, there it goes. What the hell?
Bouncy bounce. I got the both on or off.
Okay. Okay. I got it. All right. Would you like to introduce yourself, dear headmate? Sure. And 'tis I, Advalath Karakai II, bastard son of a real bastard. Your hearts are mine. Feels a little awkward after all of that, but I did the thing. Are you happy? Okay, yes, and hello, John, BloodRedTiger, Whitehead. Welcome to the stream for the... Well, okay, I think the first stream or two that I read your story on, you weren't actually, guesting with me. But it's been at least, 7 or 8 times, something like that. Hi, welcome.
Yep, I'm back.
And thank you for your patience, with my stumbling around with stream things that I ought to have gotten under control years ago, because this is, in fact, going on year 4 of my VTubing adventure. I started in September of 2021, so yeah, that adds up
You're
to 4.
still making it up as you go along.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I am not and never will be a agency VTuber commanding crowds of millions, but I can get online and make a friend happy by reading a story for weeks and weeks on end. Yeah.
Very much so. Makes my day.
Speaking of which, this is chapter 31 we are going into of the Sunnydale Imp. And oh, hello, Yuzu. Good morning to you. We pardon my my brain momentarily shorting out there for reasons. Right. So, as this story stands right now, Mickey the Imp is just having a normal day of school with the Scoobies. She's been bopping between classes, has some very enlightening opinions about triangles and in geometry, and now we are in the computer lab, and Jenny Calendar has sat her down with a spreadsheet to hunt and peck through, filling out a student profile. I am given to understand that things will not stay on that railroad track for very long. So,
The important thing to remember is that Jenny is a techno-pagan. She uses computers to do magic. So when she gives you a spreadsheet, it's not all normal.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that was, man, years and years ago. Who knows? Like, God, that would have had to have been almost 20 years ago. I was in a game of Mage the Awakening. Not Ascension, Awakening, the Chronicles of Darkness version, as they call it now.
Yep.
And I did the kind of techno-pagan thing, because one of the, like, I forget what they called them, the sort of trappings, like you choose both as in all White Wolf splats, you have kind of the inborn, like, how, what's your kind of lineage of supernatural critter, and then you choose also a sort of social grouping that you're in, or a discipline that you have personally elected to put yourself down. And I chose the sort of, techno-magical style where you can use, well, at the time it was stuff like PDAs. It was like smartphones and such were not ubiquitous at that point. So it was like, kind of like Palm Pilot kind of stuff, using as a ritual focus. That was a fun time. Unfortunately, the people that I played that with, most of them are folks I've cut out of my life since, so that's a little unfortunate. But it was a good time. It was a cute game. I think I would enjoy playing more of it. I do like the Chronicles version of the World of Darkness. I think they put some good thought into it. Anyway, right. Techno-paganism in the Sunnydale High School computer lab. Ms. Callender did her rounds, keeping an eye on the kids she knew were slackers or troublemakers. Unsupervised access to technology could bring out a surprising turn of resourcefulness in even the most lackluster students, especially if they thought they could get away with something illicit or forbidden. Can speak from experience that in my own high school computer lab, somebody had installed some kind of striptease porn game with the executable file renamed to Metroid to capture to get people startled by boobs when they thought they were going to have, Nintendo. Anyway, she also kept a watchful eye on Willow Rosenberg, who appeared torn between completing her assignment in the fastest, most diligent method and fretting about her wayward charge, the mysteriously gifted Miss Makisha Nichols, who could apparently speak any language without realizing it, and move down a school corridor faster than the eye could track. At that moment, the strange girl stuck her hand in the air. Again. Mrs. Teacher Lady? Jenny stood up straight and caught the girl's eye. Yes, Makisha? Why is this thing called a spreadsheet? Jenny blinked. I believe the term dates back to the earliest use of math on paper grids. Spread in this context would refer to laying out several pages, not just a sheet that you spread out. But this isn't on paper. No. The computer representation follows the same principles, but is much faster to use, does most of the work for us, and opens up features that simply wouldn't be possible on paper. This was doubly true for the spreadsheet Miki was currently using. On the surface, it was a simple list of questions, but there were verification formulae embedded in the cells, connected to a much larger construct that applied the techno-pagan variant of a truth spell to any question and answer pair presented to it. The spell wasn't perfect, however, just a little project she and some of her circle had dabbled with to pass the time. Gosh, pardon my throat here this morning. Yeah, woke up with a bit of headache. That has mostly passed, but I suspect I'm still a little bit dehydrated. Anyway, I'm playing through. As she just said to the class, technology offered substantial advantages over pen and paper solutions. While it might take longer to design the structure of the software you required, once it was made, it could be compiled into functions and macros, ready to be incorporated into larger, more complex endeavors. Such as the modified driver software controlling the webcam that sat atop Makisha's monitor. Makisha seemed satisfied with the answer, so Jenny sat back down, checked that nobody was hovering over her shoulder, and connected to the webcam's remote feed. The picture was small, and the colors weren't especially good, but she could see the girl clearly. She looked disappointingly normal, cute in a charmingly oblivious way. The tip of her tongue poked between her teeth as she scanned the keyboard, brows knitted in a frown of concentration, then a flash of triumph as she located the letter she wanted. Damn, she was slow. Slower even than the hunt and peck typing style commonly favored by the technologically challenged. Then again, it was entirely likely English wasn't the girl's first language, and Jenny knew the written language was tricky to master. Also, given their current location and the things she'd seen so far, it was quite possible Makisha's first language used an entirely different alphabet. Jenny clicked a few snapshots and saved them to disk to check out later. Hopefully, the answers on the spreadsheet would prove more informative. Mrs. Teacher? Yes, Makisha? Why are there two lots of numbers? Does it matter which ones I use? Because I tried them both and they both seem to be doing the same thing. Is that right? Why are one lot in a line and one look like they do on a telephone or something? Is that it? Are they a telephone? Can I call somebody? I mean, I don't know any phone numbers, but whoa. The girl took a breath, eyes suddenly wide. Can I use the letters to call somebody? Like, just type their name? Is that a thing? Oh wow, is that what email is? I think I just invented email. Can I get cartoons on here? I pressed every single button on the keybox and none of them seem to do anything cool. That's not how... Oh, never mind. I bet I know what it is. Combinations. I need to press all the things at the same time. What's this thing over here do? Oh, looky, look. I moved the thing and it moved the other thing. That's a mouse. No, it isn't. Makisha stared at her in complete astonishment, and Jenny rolled her eyes. Okay, you're right. It's not actually a mouse. It's an input device which we call a mouse. Why? Came the response, somewhat inevitably. Because it looks like one. See? It has a long tail, and these buttons are the eyes, or the ears, or whatever. Use your imagination. Mickey stared at the mouse for several long seconds. The tail's on the wrong end, she observed. It's just a name, insisted the teacher. Same as the keys on the keyboard are buttons instead of keys. She put a hand to her forehead. Have you seriously never seen a computer before? Of course I've seen them. I've just never played on one. Jack has a computer, but I'm not allowed to touch it because it's small and fragile. He says he doesn't want finger marks on it, which isn't fair, because he types on it with his nose, and that's way smudgier. His nose? Yeah, and then the computer talks and stuff. He has a portable computer with a speech synthesizer? That's quite sophisticated. Mickey merely shrugged. I guess. The voice is all croaky and stupid, though, and only uses it to annoy me and tell me to do stuff. It's all like, Mickey, stop jumping on the couch. Put some clothes on. Don't climb on the table. Jenny tried to picture the scene. Your friend Jack, he's disabled? Oh no, nothing like that. He just can't talk. Oh, she thought for a second. Something didn't quite add up. And he's got no hands, added the girl. The bell rang, signaling the end of computer playtime. Mickey hopped up and skipped to the door with the rest of the kids, giving Willow a little grin and wave as she merged into the press of bodies. The computer class was kind of fun, but she didn't feel like she'd learned much. The computers on this world were boring and clunky. They didn't talk or shoot lasers or do anything cool. She'd expected to be able to find out all kinds of cool stuff once she got the hang of the system, but if everything was done by typing in words, she was gonna struggle. Out in the corridor, the kids started to spread out and head in different directions. The big group split into many smaller groups, probably on their way to new classes. Mickey looked around for Willow and found both her and Buffy headed her way with grim expressions on their faces. They probably thought the computer class was boring, too. She gave them a smile anyway. Hey guys, what's up? She asked. Buffy stepped forward. You're needed in the library. Okay, is Willow coming? Willow shook her head. I'll catch up with you guys, okay? She turned to leave, and Mickey thought she looked a bit sad. Is she okay? I thought Willow liked computers. She's fine, replied Buffy, putting a hand on Mickey's shoulder. I'm more concerned about you. Oh, I'm okay, she replied brightly. I did think the class was a bit boring, though. Yeah, you and me both, agreed the blonde girl. She turned Mickey around and steered her toward the library. Come on, time for some Q&A. Q&A? What's that? It sorta sounded like it might be rude. Questions and answers. Oh, she shrugged. One sec. She turned and sprinted away down the hall. Willow, wait! She yelled, using all her natural agility to weave between kids without slowing. Willow turned, eyes wide, just in time for Mickey to catch her in a big hug. Well, relatively speaking. The redhead managed a brief beep before the imp separated. Here, read this. It's cool. She pressed an exercise book into her friend's hands, gave her a sly grin, and ran away, back down the corridor to an impatient Buffy. What was that about? She demanded as Mickey skidded to a halt. Returned her workbook. The imp smirked, not quite innocently. So, questions and answers. How does that work? Is it a game? Is it fun? Buffy narrowed her eyes and gave the imp a glare. I ask the questions, you make with the answers. Aww. That didn't sound like fun at all. Jenny Calendar had a few minutes before the next class, so she hurried over to the machine Makisha had been using and called up the spreadsheet. It was immediately obvious that the exercise had been a failure. Mickey had only managed to fill in a couple of answers, but at least she knew those answers were magically verifiable. The girl's name was Makisha. True. When asked her date of birth, she typed, "Don't know," which the spell checker hated, but the magical checker said was the truth. Interesting. Apparently her language spell didn't fix her spelling, which logically suggested the girl did indeed speak English. Home address, secret. Not very helpful. For next of kin, she'd simply entered Jack, her friend with no hands and no voice. Under hobbies, she had put fighting, and dancing, or fighting and dancing if you had the benefit of autocorrect. The rest she had left blanked, or cite. Bleh. Apparently my mouthpieces are still asleep in places. The rest she had left blank, or typed seemingly random nonsense. She somehow managed to break the formatting of the entire lower half of the page, changing the font size and cell colors to an eye-watering mess of rainbows and wingdings. Jenny grimaced and saved a copy to her storage space before deleting the original. On a whim, she decided to check the half-dozen snapshots she'd saved from the webcam, in case there was evidence of her doing something weird that would serve as a clue. The drive grunted for a couple of seconds as it retrieved the image thumbnails from the server. Naturally, the next class of kids chose that exact moment to start pushing in through the door, and Jenny quickly hit Alt F4 to dismiss the image viewer. There was a split second's hesitation before the program closed, leaving the technopagan teacher blinking at a blank screen. What the hell did I just see? Right, we've had a few conversations about this before, that captured still images do not preserve the illusion magic, right?
That's right. So if you take a picture, you can look at it with the webcam and hit screenshot, and it all looks fine. But then when she goes away and you check your screenshots, it's like, oh, that's different.
So, soon enough, Jenny will have a look at the real Mickey. Okay. History class promised to be stressful, not for the class itself, but because Willow had promised she would give Mr. Miller some excuse for Buffy and Makisha being absent, although, now she had thought about it, none of the staff seemed to have any idea where Mickey was supposed to be at any given time, and they didn't seem to mind her wandering in and out of classes seemingly at random. It was as though her friendship with Snyder gave her some kind of immunity. That just left Buffy to worry about. Willow swallowed nervously and stuck up her hand. Mr. Miller? Buffy had to go help Makisha with a project in the library? She managed a thin smile. Makisha Nichols, the exchange student? You want to pick up the teacher again? For something
Lost.
to do?
There we go. Huh. Okay.
He scratched his bearded chin thoughtfully.
Well, can you let her copy your notes or something? She'll need to catch up on her own time.
Oh, yes. It worked. Of course, no problem. Of course, it probably wasn't magic, so much as some kind of instruction from Snyder that Makisha was his favorite student and thus able to do whatever she wanted. Hopefully Mr. Miller wouldn't raise a complaint, and she especially hoped he would mention Buffy's name.
Today we're going to talk about the differences between first-hand and second-hand information, and the importance of corroborating evidence. Obviously, a first-hand account of an historical event is a far more important find than a second-hand account, set down by somebody who wasn't there in person.
Mr. Miller gave a wry smile.
Ironically, historians aren't the best source of historical information. Okay, open your textbooks to page 134.
Willow was about to open her school bag when she remembered that she already had a workbook in her hand. She frowned and flicked it open, grimacing at the scratchy, angular devil scrawl until she found some pages written in English. She scanned over a few lines and winced even harder. The girl's handwriting was bad, but her spelling was genuinely atrocious. She scanned back a bit and read it again. I'm going to teach you and train you and make you one of mine. Then you'll be a demon like the rest of my children. You will be immortal, unkillable, and perfect. Well, that doesn't sound like a Mickey kind of line.
What you want to read?
Buffy swept into the library with Mickey in tow. Their entrance was heard by Giles, who emerged from the reference section with a stack of schoolbooks in his arms.
Girls, still both alive, I see.
He descended the short stairway and deposited his load on the counter.
Skipping history?
Mickey looked stricken. "Aw, we're missing the stories?" Buffy frowned, and Giles raised an eyebrow.
You like history class?
He inquired lightly. "Yeah, last time the lady told us about some guy who had loads of brothers and made a newspaper, and then later he did some stuff with electricity,"
Benjamin Franklin?
he suggested. "Yeah, that was cool. I'm gonna learn all about this world's heroes, so I can be famous and do cool stuff." She pulled out a chair and sat down. "I need to know what cool stuff has already been done, see? Otherwise I'll just end up wasting my time."
Right.
Buffy didn't bother with the chair. She sat herself on the table close to Mickey and twisted around to face her. "Here's a story for you. I'm missing some of the important details, but I'm hoping you can fill in the gaps for me." "Okay." "Last night, after our incident, you went to the Bronze where you bumped into Sheridan. That's the skanky vampire she punched the other day," she clarified for Giles' benefit. Giles, leaning against the counter, merely dipped his chin in acknowledgement. Buffy continued. "You followed Sheridan across town and got ambushed by some guys with water guns." Mickey nodded. "She said there was a woman who needed rescuing, so I went after her. But when I got there, they'd already drunk her to death. It was a trap. 4 vampire guys. They sprayed me with holy water." Giles leaned forward.
Take it you weren't harmed.
"By the water? No, I'm not evil enough. But it set fire to all my clothes and wrecked all the magic I'd been saving up. And then they tried to kill me, with swords and axes and stuff." Buffy narrowed her eyes. "So, 4 vampires plus Sheridan?" "Well, technically 3 vampires. But I didn't know that last guy was human until afterward." Giles frowned.
You knowingly killed a human?
"He started it," she protested. "He tried to kill me first. It was only after the fight was done I noticed that he was just sort of bleeding a lot instead of turning to dust." "His head was bashed in with an axe," said Buffy, "and a big stab wound to the gut." "Yeah, he was totally dying, so I finished him off quick. I didn't want to get distracted. The girl and her boss were still there." Buffy glared. "You can sense magic, or evil, or whatever. You could sense magic in Angel last night. How could you fight somebody and not realize they were human?" Mickey glared back. "I had 4 guys trying to chop me up, and I was soaking wet and almost naked, and I had no magic strength, and my illusion was gone, and I was on fire." She folded her arms and pouted. "I stabbed him because I thought he was probably a vampire. At the very least, he was an attempted murderer guy. And then by the time I knew he was human, it was too late. Serves him right. They hurt me a whole bunch as well, by the way. Thanks for asking. 4-on-1 with no magic is pretty tough." A tense silence hung in the air for several long seconds. Buffy bit her lip, unsure what to say, and Giles polished his glasses.
Well,
He began.
I think under the circumstances, a tactical error is entirely understandable.
Okay. And here we go.
Okay,
Chapter
we need the notes on this.
32. Mikisha's super epic story of awesomeness.
This is Mickey's story scribbled into Willow's notebook. Rather than inflict her spelling upon you all, this story is instead presented as she would like it to be read. Take from that what you will.
All right. Okay. Mania, queen of the dead and mother of all succubi and incubi, was sitting in her throne room doing nothing special when she felt the tingle of a magical alarm. Somebody had broken into one of her jewelry boxes. Somebody was going to suffer. She immediately teleported to her chambers, intending to flay the thief alive, but was surprised to find the room empty. The jewelry box, itself encrusted with gems, was open, and at first glance the contents appeared undisturbed. But Mania... Is it Mania or Mania? Is it just literally like
I've always just said mania.
Mania, okay. Mania spotted a single empty slot where a ring should be. She glanced around the room. No mere invisibility charm or talent could hope to hide from her, here in the center of her power, so she didn't even bother with a detection spell. Instead, she examined the box. There was an alarm spell that would alert her if the box was opened, but there should also have been a locking spell to keep the box closed, and of that spell she could detect only the barest whisper. Somebody had removed the spell, here in her own chambers. Impossible, unthinkable. She reached out and slammed the box closed. "Beep," said a tiny voice, appearing to come from the box itself. Mania quickly pushed the box aside and found a Zaradai imp hiding behind it, a tiny girl in a short black dress, holding the ring with both hands. The ring was quite large, you see, for Mania was an archdemon, standing half again as tall as a normal human woman. She was extremely pretty, and her fingers were slender and dainty, but a Zaradai imp could probably have fit her whole body through it. Aha! She snarled and grabbed at the girl with one hand. The imp girl, Miki, was fast and clever, and she didn't want to be grabbed, so she teleported out of the way, hovering in place behind the queen's back. Quick as a flash, Mania immediately spun around and grabbed again, and this time the girl was so surprised she didn't dodge out of the way. "Ouch!" she said. "Don't squash me! I'm only tiny, you know." "You are an intruder and a thief. I would flay you alive, but I don't think I have any tools small enough." "Oh well, never mind. You can have the ring back if you want. I should probably get going. Fiore will be starting to worry." "Fiore? The Weeping Bastion is a long way from here, little imp. Are you telling me you are Fiore's pet imp Miki?" "Yeah." "And he sent you to steal this ring? I will destroy him for this insult." "Nobody sent me. I just wanted it." "Lies. You must have had help. How did you disable my lock?" She waved a hand at the room, with dozens of other similarly decorated jewelry boxes. "How did you know where to look?" She narrowed her eyes. "And how did you know to take that exact item?" "It was the most powerful thing." "Nonsense. There are several artifacts of greater power in that box alone." Miki tried to shrug. "Nothing small enough for me to carry. What's so special about this ring, anyway?" "That is the Ring of Destiny, crafted for me by my husband. It bestows visions, one choice or action that the wearer must make in order to change their destiny forever." Miki was impressed. "Is that how you two became king and queen?" "I will not explain the source of my power to one such as you," thundered Mania, squeezing the imp so that her eyes bulged. "How did you disable my magical lock? Answer me. Explain your presence here, or I shall cover you in sauce and give you to my husband." Murmur, king of the dead and father of all succubi and incubi, was known far and wide for his huge appetite, or rather, appetites, and Mickey didn't fancy being used to slake any of them. I can sense powerful magic from great distances, she cried, and when I find it I can absorb the power for my own use. Really? Mickey nodded vigorously. I escaped from Fiore's place and made my way here. I saw an open window and flew in to have a look around, and then there were all those fancy boxes full of magical stuff, and I figured you wouldn't miss one little thing. I mean, you're not even using it. A person can only use the ring once, and I have already used it. It was a gift, however, and carries sentimental value. Minia growled. Plus, I would not have such a thing out of my control where it could be used by my enemies. Oh, said Mickey, blinking. Who are your enemies? Everybody. Oh. You claim you can disable my spells here, in my own domain. I require proof. She opened her hand and sealed the imp in a bubble of impenetrable, airtight magic. Free yourself, and I shall spare your life. Otherwise you will suffocate. Also, the bubble will begin to shrink in 10 seconds, and you'll be crushed to paste. Escape if you can, imp. Mickey reached out a hand and concentrated. The faint purple bubble faded and slurped away into her palm. What? I didn't hear that last bit. Was it supposed to be soundproof? Mania narrowed her eyes. I see potential in you, imp girl. That's what Fiore says, but he keeps me in a cage. I'm going to teach you and train you and make you one of mine. Then you'll be a demon like the rest of my children. You will be immortal, unkillable, and perfect. You want to make me into a succubus? That'll never work. I'm too little. Your physical form is irrelevant. I offer you power or death. Choose quickly. Mickey pursed her lips. She could probably try to escape, either back out through the window or by hiding in the palace until she found another exit. But awesome power sounded pretty good, too. An idea came to her then, and she clutched the magic ring with both hands. Several seconds later, the wide-eyed imp released the ring. She offered it back to the queen. I accept your offer. Did she drain the ring?
Nope, she used it for a vision.
Ah, she got a vision of her destiny. Okay, nice. Alright, so chapter 33 is Mikisha's Mega Fantastic Story About Cool Things, Part 2. Hello, Rain. Ran. Oh, okay. So now when Rain shows up, I'm going to picture the red clothed, it's like the warrior Oni from Urusei Yatsura in the red, like, plate bikini. And Roy. Rain and Ron and Roy and Roy. Yeah, all them peoples with the R's. Hello to you both. There's no such thing as late to a random stream that is only casually scheduled and announced. You can generally expect that it'll happen 10-ish US Central Time, as best I can get myself moving in the morning. Today it was more like 10:30, whatever that is in y'all's part of the world. I am drinking a concoction that I credit to my wife and the encouragement of the castle. a day or two ago, I was looking for something to drink, and we cracked open the fridge and was like, just kind of thinking aloud with my wife in the other room, and I was like, we've got lemonade, or we got cider. That sounds even better, or maybe it was the other way around. Anyway, whatever. I was looking at these two beverages, and Moth was like, you gotta pick one or the other. I don't recommend mixing them. And I'm like, I wasn't really thinking about that, but that just sounded like the kind of thing I would do. And because I do sometimes mix up random things. I think it's a holdover from the days when I was pretending to be a bachelor. I would assemble strange drinks and dishes out of whatever I happened to have in the fridge at the time. And sometimes I still do that. Like, I shared something of like I'd had some Gatorade and I just like dumped a shot of limoncello in it to see how that did. It was not particularly. I wouldn't really recommend that one. It made a really interesting color though, sort of mutagen ooze green almost, or sort of as Snippet described it, pool water green. It was entertaining. But anyway, yeah. So I shared that exchange to Castle Arania, and one of the friends of our house, the pack bats, said, "Oh, you know what? That actually sounds pretty good. You know, I'd go such and such proportions with it." And so I did get around to actually trying it. And yeah, I got a. This is more. I think the pack bats had recommended like 2-to-1 cider to lemonade. I thought that the cider kind of overpowered at that proportion, so I went with 1-to-1. Yeah. Oh yeah, Rhinocorn, you have that friend who just does absolutely disgusting piles of stuff and makes you eat it, right? Am I thinking of the right person here? Stuff with hot sauce and all sorts of hot sauce and oatmeal and I don't know whatever else that was blended up. It was like what?
Not a concoction, but one time when Ice came to visit, he brought a tin of Surströmming.
Surströmming.
The incredibly fetid haddock or whatever it is in a tin.
God.
We managed to get the tin opener in it, and one turn, and it was like, throw it. Throw it away.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing, like, how did people even devise this recipe, much less go through with eating it, and then
it must
continue
be safe,
to make it as a traditional thing?
The germs away.
Yeah, God. But like, humans will try to eat anything, try to get drunk, or like ferment and get drunk on just about anything, or smoke and try to get high on just about anything. So, oh God, the creature, that's how you refer to that particular friend, does indeed make horrible things. Their personal common recommendation is the cheapest energy drink you can find. Heat it up, drink it with milk. Oh my God. Not the most extreme, but they genuinely love it. Oh my God. Oh no. They refer to themselves as the creature. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, I know some folks who are kind of like that.
In third person.
As the creature. Oh no.
The creature bids you good morning.
Yeah, that's actually kind of stylish. Yeah, I've not messed that much with my pronouns and reference, but cursed tumbler brews. Yeah. I've never tried Sostramon or any of that kind of thing, or lutefisk or uh haggis, any of those sort of notoriously um distressing foods. But uh, there are two foods that stick out in my mind that I was unable to actually swallow. Like, most of the time I'm pretty adventurous with food, and I'm pretty um I have a good fortitude for it. Like, even if there's something that I'm not hugely enjoying, I'll at least eat a few bites out of it to be polite or whatever. Um, but there were two that I couldn't even go that far with. One was one year the Girl Scouts had a line of like mango flavored sandwich cookies, and a friend of mine was just so excited about these mango Girl Scout cookies that she bought like half a dozen uh boxes or whatever you call them, trays of them. I guess they do come in boxes, right? Yeah, yeah. And so she just had piles and piles of these mango cookies. I took one bite of one and immediately spat it out into the trash. It was the most vile artificial mango flavor that I was like, it did not taste like food. It tasted like chemical. I could not. The other, I tried a durian candy. The same friend had gotten a bag of imported, like just kind of assorted imported candies, and there was one of them that was a durian fruit candy. And I popped it in my mouth, and I mean, there was a little bit of sweetness or sugar to it, but the durian that came through was too much. And that thing was into the bin. Yeah. Mm-mm. Well, do not want.
Have you ever been tricked with something thinking it was something else? My grandma once had a plate out of fig roll biscuits, which were my favourite. And I took a bite, like, yeah, what is it? It's banana. But when you expect one thing and it's something else.
Oh no.
But the worst case of that was at my old job, my friend in the other office was taking up baking. And I'd go in, he'd make muffins and cakes and things. Oh, try these muffins. So I'll get a muffin. And I went, what's this? And I sort of pick a bit off the top thinking it's, a pecan nut or something. And then just as I take a big chomp, he goes, probably bacon.
Oh, well, that's not... I've had bacon on baked goods before. It could be nice.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to be a sweet muffin, and I take a big bite out of this muffin, and it's cheese and bacon. I'm like,
okay, so it was entirely a savory item. It was not like candied bacon.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, maple bacon donuts, absolutely. Durian is complicated. You can never find fresh durian in the States, since it's mandatory to freeze it before shipping it over plane, and that kills the smell, flavor, and texture. Interesting.
Yeah,
but like this was
really nice, but smells really repellent.
Oh, is that what? Like, I don't know. The candy didn't even taste good though. Like, you would have thought that the candy, but maybe it's sort of like the mango. It's like when you get like sort of artificial durian flavor, it doesn't really come through very well. Anyway, okay. Part 2 of Mikisha's story. Alright. Eyes wide, Willow tore her eyes from the book and glanced around the class. Mr. Miller was busy at his desk, and the other kids were keeping their heads down, reading their textbooks or pretending to. Some, like Willow, would have other reading materials hidden between the pages, something more interesting. Although in this case, Willow really was learning something about the subject matter. Actual first-hand historical information. She needed to warn the others, but she hesitated. Was Mickey really a succubus, or was there more to it? She turned the page. Oh, jeez, there's more. Fresh durian is supposed to have a horrible smell, a good flavor, but a horrible aftertaste. Yeah, it would still probably be too much for me or Moth. Moth is particularly sensitive to aftertastes. Like, she can't, like, any beer that has the faintest bit of, like, hoppy bitterness to it, she usually can't handle it. I think she has a particularly sensitive palate, perhaps very dense taste buds. Keisha's Mega Fantastic Story About Cool Things, Part 2. Mickey thought her training was going pretty well. Queen Mania had given her the ability to make herself about 10 times bigger, which was really cool, although she was still quite little compared to the other succubi, and her wings didn't seem to work anymore. She had learned to fly using magic instead, which was really awesome, and she could float through walls like a ghost. Pleased with her progress, Mania had given her a new name to reflect her new status. She was no longer just Mickey the Imp, she was Mikisha, the junior succubus. Or, well, technically an aspirant. A wannabe. Until she completed her training, she was officially useless, neither one thing or another. She slept in a dormitory and trained alongside 3 other candidates, all hoping for promotion. 1 other devil and 2 former mortals who had earned or been offered the chance of demonhood. Vodisa was a winged Sabarani devil, with deep crimson skin and powerful wings. Like all her kind, she was totally hairless and had eyes of solid white. Mickey liked her. Vodisa had a sensual walk that made Mickey feel all warm and funny. Carmela was a damned soul who had somehow developed a knack for magic. She could shapeshift, which was an important skill for succubi. If she could master the rest of the required arts, her promotion was guaranteed. Already she looked like the other succubi in the palace. Tall, blonde, statuesque, like an impossibly perfect statue come to life. Unfortunately, she wasn't very graceful and had the personality of a dead tree. The last of their clutch was Tasia, a nasty, manipulative young woman who'd apparently lied, backstabbed, and slept her way into a position of authority among the damned. It probably hadn't hurt her case that the busty young redhead already bore a striking resemblance to Queen Mania. She was argumentative, proud, stubborn, and spiteful, and Mickey didn't like her at all. Today they were meeting with one of the Queen's favorites, a high-ranking succubus named Tasabejan. Ah, here we are. Crossover. All right. Yeah, this character that I know from back in the day on Forgadia. She was scary impressive, a head taller even than Carmela, with dark skin and long straight hair the color of blood. Her wings were mighty, her horns were pointy and cool, and her eyes glowed with the inner green fire of a powerful seductress. The 4 aspirants lined up before the frowning mistress, and Mickey even remembered to keep her eyes averted. The bigger succubi were really pretty, but they didn't seem to like lowly aspirants looking at them for some reason. Do you want to voice your own character here?
I can't really do a woman's voice, but I'll try.
You don't have to. If you'd rather, I told you, but
I can just talk. I mean, she's like 7 or 8 foot tall. She can talk if she wants.
All right.
Strip down, eyes up.
Order Tasvejan.
Let's see what I've got to work with.
Vodisa habitually wore a loose kimono and flicked it to the ground with practiced ease. Tasia pulled down the top of her green dress and stepped out of it. Mickey used magic to change her outfit, morphing her black dress into a pair of glossy black stockings and long fingerless gloves. She'd seen several of the succubi wearing similar attire around the palace, and it looked pretty cool on them. They stood proudly, except Carmela, who was still fiddling with her belt. Tasabejan took a single long step forward and yanked the leather strip from her grasp.
Too slow.
She purred.
When I say strip, I mean now.
She grabbed the poor girl's dress with both hands and tore it apart, leaving a ragged mess hanging around her waist.
Well, do you need more help?
Carmilla shook her head and hastily pushed the ruined garment down off her hips. She kicked it aside and stood with the others. The senior succubus turned slowly back and fixed Makisha with a glare.
You, using your initiative or being stubborn?
Yus is alarmed at the risque content here.
It doesn't go any further than that.
Okay. She realized she was the only one not completely naked and wondered if she'd pushed her luck. A bit of both, maybe?
That cut out then.
A bit of both, maybe?
I'm watching you, imp.
I welcome the opportunity for instruction, responded Makisha quietly. It was a phrase they'd been taught at the beginning of their induction, and seemed appropriate. Tasabejan seemed to accept it, and turned her attention back to the others.
I've been talking to your instructors. They all report back to me, and I report back to the Queen. You've all been chosen because she thinks at least one of you might be worthy of demonhood. I think she's being extremely optimistic, and it's only fair to tell you that the first aspirant to pass all the trials gets a promotion, and the rest of you go back to wherever she found you.
She bared her teeth in a wicked smile.
If you're lucky.
And if we're not? Challenged Tasia.
If you're not, you stay here. There's something for the trainee incubi to practice on.
The smile grew wider.
And as a warning to the next clutch of pathetic hopefuls.
The group remained silent, and Taz's baleful green glare passed over them.
Would any of you trainees like to see some of these rejected aspirants?
Mickey put up a hand gingerly. Are they pretty? Tasapechan laughed. She walked to a tall-backed chair and sat down.
Let's get to business, and then I can get rid of you. Vodissa, you've got a lot of talent. I'm hearing good things, but if you can't get the shape-shifting under control, you're no use to us. Hair especially, and don't give me that look. I don't care if you're naturally reptilian. I've seen Sabarani with hair. Figure it out, and fast.
She turned her attention to Carmilla.
You, dipshit, you've got everything that she hasn't, which isn't a compliment, because she's got almost everything, and you can shapeshift. You move like an elephant, you can't dance, can't sing. You're hot as hell, but somehow not even remotely sexy. I've no idea what to do with you, so you'd better start working. Tasia here thinks she's special because she's got good hair and flawless skin. Reality check, sweetheart. We're all perfect. We can all look exactly how we want, or better yet, exactly how our targets want us to look. So, your looks don't matter to me, and your other skills are borderline. And if you pick one more fight with your instructors, you're out. You hear me?
They're idiots, protested the woman. They don't get it.
Those idiots are my sisters. If you're extremely lucky, they'll become your sisters, and you will be the smallest fish in a very large pond. Watch your mouth.
Yeah, well, what's the saying? Those who can do, but those who can't teach.
Your instructors are professionals, chosen by me and chosen by the Queen because they're the best. If you can't learn from the best, then you're never going to learn.
I thought you were the best. Why aren't you teaching our lessons instead of just giving us abuse? It's like you want us to fail. Tasabejan was out of the chair in a blur of movement. She clamped one hand around Tasia's throat and used the other to twist her head all the way around. Bones and gristle crunched like gravel. The other girls stared in shock as the dead aspirant crumpled onto the marble floor.
Here endeth the lesson. I trust I won't need to repeat myself.
Mickey found herself looking up into the demoness's green eyes. Tazabejan frowned and leaned over close.
I hate to admit it, Imp, but I kinda like you. You've got guts and style, but that's not what we're looking for. I don't know what the Queen expects from you, but you're never gonna be a succubus.
What? But she promised.
Oh? Well then, by all means, prove me wrong.
The succubus stood up straight and strode back to the front of the group.
Cast off this feeble mortal shell and embrace the magic of your queen. Change your shape.
Into what? Asked the imp.
I don't care.
Was the hissed response.
A teapot. Anything other than a scrawny winged runt.
I haven't actually learned shapeshifting yet, admitted the imp. But I'm working on it. Carmela's gonna help me get the hang of it. That's what you think, muttered the blonde. I can change my clothes, though, insisted Mickey. I can change my hair, my makeup, I can do jewelry. Oh, and I can copy stuff. She manifested herself a copy of Tajabejan's armor, strategically placed golden plates in a long yellow loincloth. See? How's this? Pretty cute, huh? This was apparently a mistake.
Cute!
Roared the succubus.
You dare to copy my armor and tell me it's cute?
Tazabejan leapt at the imp and lashed out a devastating backhand. Mickey raised both her arms in a desperate block, but there was no chance of stopping the blow entirely. She let herself go limp, rolling with the impact as she flew back several yards and bounced on the hard floor. She shook her head to clear it, expecting the succubus to come finish her off, but the follow-up attack never came. Tazabejan stood with her hands on her hips.
Nice block,
She said.
Somebody been teaching you how to fight?
Mickey's head was still ringing, and her butt hurt from sliding on the marble. No?
Be at the arena in 2 hours. Bring a weapon.
Okay. Well, I think you ought to have had a few more content warnings on this one, Rania. Yeah, I kind of forgot to put any of the usual content warnings on this week. Yeah, so, apparently, stripping and veiled references to sexual mistreatment. Right. Too little, too late, but nice try. Okay. Third part of the Mickey authored backstory. Well, I wouldn't have even known to put those particular warnings on anyway.
I just say Mikisha's succubus training begins or something like that. Mickey
That is
begins
true.
her
That is
succubus
true. That
training.
was the beginning of it.
That's all the warning you get.
Yeah. Okay. Mikisha's totally boss story that explains stuff, part 3. Oh, and it's the... We're gonna meet Jack, I guess. Okay. An audience with the Queen. Word traveled fast in the Palace of Infinite Pleasure, passed between the gossipy demons at the speed of thought. A visitor had appeared at the gates and slain the Guardian. No, not slain, came another wave of thought, merely incapacitated. The writhing, grasping mass of the pit fiend would live to writhe and grasp another day. The visitor was a mortal man, which here in the infernal realms was almost unheard of. Or, in fact, not a man, but rather a wolf. A wolf who walked upright like a man, spoke like a man, and wore the modern clothing of the mortal world. He carried the weapons of a man, also, wicked guns and a short blade of enchanted iron. His face was that of a wolf, however, his muzzle long and sleek and grey. His eyes were gems of smoked amber, and his feet and hands were clawed and powerful. A supple tail hung behind him. It twitched softly side to side as he watched and waited. In other words, he was a furry. Because the author of that character never plays anything else.
Unless you make him.
Has he played non-wolfy characters under duress, at least?
I made him play a genetically engineered super soldier who I assumed was mostly wolf, but I put down that his regenerative powers were due to him being mostly sea creatures.
Ah.
He was most discomforted.
Aw, poor guy. But then making eyes squirm was, basically all of our hobby back in this.
He still had yellow eyes.
Yeah, okay. You gave him that little stop. Oh, God.
Crumb.
From the shadows came the sisters. With sharp claws and slitted green eyes, a dozen succubi swarmed at the gate to greet the stranger and demand his business.
Oh, there is some lewdness in this, but it's purely suggestive.
Well, glad that I did not manage to show... Blah. Apparently I can't talk any better than the Dame Armiger today. Glad I showed up for this one, is what I was trying to say. I've got a message for Mania, he announced. That's all. I just need a quiet word, preferably in private. The sisters hissed and scowled at this, for while the wolfman did not seem especially intimidating or powerful, he was a novelty, and after centuries of service, the demons of desire desperately craved stimulation. Not that kind of stimulation. They grudgingly passed word to the queen, their own personal lusts overruled by fear of punishment, and Mania spoke her royal command directly to their minds. Bring the wolf to my chambers, unharmed and unmolested. There was much sighing and complaining, and many of the sisters slunk away, quickly losing interest. The bravest of their number swept to his side, whispering of the many indiscretions a person could get up to during the long and winding route to the queen's chambers. Let's not, he replied, not unkindly. But feel free to tell your friends we did, if it'll score some points. Half a dozen succubi did their best to delay and distract the wolf, without doing anything so bold as to incur Mania's wrath. She knew what they were like, they reasoned, and so would expect them to dally at least a little. She wanted him unharmed, but the definition of harm was extremely nebulous. The six assumed their most alluring forms, clad themselves in their most sensual garments. He nodded his approval, confessed that they were all soul-shattering beautiful, and he would doubtless dream of them in unguarded moments. Flattered but unsatisfied, they danced for him, sang him songs that would break the heart of a lesser mortal. They summoned musical instruments more intricate and complex than anything in the mortal realms, and created melodies and harmonies he would remember for the rest of his life. The wolf laughed for joy, and in truth the music of the mortal world was forever dull and incomplete from that day forth. And yet they could see that his heart remained pure. He was sworn to another, their gutter-bred half-sister, Shayala, acting sentinel of the outer ring of the 8th plane of hell. Sensing defeat, the sisters redoubled their efforts, shedding their clothes to reveal maddening designs painted and tattooed upon their bare flesh, whorls and loops to beguile the eye and lead attention to greater admire the charms on display, enchanted jewelry, chains of gold and silver, glittering gems and sparkling embellishments draped, pierced and magically adhered to enhance the effect of their nudity. They fell upon each other, calling on the wolf to witness their prowess and join in any time. The wolf pulled his jacket tighter around himself and carefully pushed past the squirming sirens. They had reached the doors to the queen's chambers, and he wasn't sure how much more temptation he could handle. It was just because, oh my god, can you imagine Isaac Wolf playing an ace character that would be something to see. I don't think the man would be capable.
Nope, yep, nope, yep, nope.
And now I'm wondering whether I could make such a thing work. This is going to be a topic to ponder. Well, I don't, I don't know what context we would do such a thing in, but you do you. Well, that's the whole thing. I wouldn't. Sure. Okay. He knocked once on the great carved doors, deliberately paying no attention to the figures carved into the wood. A woman's voice, strong and rich, called from within. Come. Yeah, he muttered. That's what I'm afraid of. He pushed open the doors and walked in. The room beyond was extravagantly decorated in all shades of pink, purple, and red, trimmed with gold and rubies wherever he looked. All this finery was as nothing, however, compared to the figure that reclined cross-legged before him on a vast green armchair. Mania, Queen of the Dead. Mother of all succubi and incubi. Her hair was a coiling mass of scarlet curls that spilled past her slender neck and over her pale shoulders. Her eyes were of the deepest green, gently lit from within by an ember of her vast power. That's an actual plot point in that on the Lovecraft dating simulator, the infinitely seductive character that hates those that lust after her, and the protagonist is an ace woman. Oh, that's interesting. Lovecraft dating simulator, huh? I've heard of a few works lately that are kind of play with those themes. There's, oh god, there's like a manga that's like, what is it called? I'd have to go hunting for it, but it's like the Great Art of the Barrier or something like that. It is supposed to be H.P. Lovecraft, I think, but yeah, about this yeah, sort of like a harem situation, but the main character is just not interested in anybody, trying to hold them at arm's length. There's another one that was another visual novel where it's like it's a play on the high school dating sim where you got all these very eligible, very interested young ladies throwing themselves at the heroine, and the heroine's like, I don't want to date anyone. It's very, very funny. Anyway. She had, with but a thought, chosen clothing to match his time period. Sheer stockings, long silk gloves, a low-cut basque, and fine stiletto-heeled shoes, all in pristine white. On a whim, she had allowed a tasteful smattering of fine freckles to scatter across her normally perfect complexion, instinctively presenting herself as something Jack could attain for himself if he was prepared to put in the effort. He might almost have believed she was merely a sweet, innocent maiden of incalculable beauty, were it not for the fact that she was 8 feet tall, radiated a palpable aura of magical power, and didn't appear to be wearing any pants. You wanted to see me? She asked, raising a single perfect eyebrow. I'd bring a message. I'll keep it brief. He swallowed. Fiore wants his pet back. There. Message delivered, I'll be going now. He turned to find his way blocked by the 6 sisters, who changed before his eyes, their bodies and clothes quickly shifting to emulate those of their queen and mother. The wolf grit his teeth and turned back to the queen. Now that he'd reached the queen's chambers, unharmed and unmolested, the girls flowed to his side, their hands gently touching his arms, his back, his legs, his tail. He steadfastly ignored their ministrations, ignored the hands that crept up inside his jacket and pulled it off his shoulders. Stripped of the jacket's cover, he nonetheless fixed his gaze on the queen. "Are all your daughters so forward?" he asked plaintively. "I just want to be single, that does sound right, yes." Yeah, this is a common problem for me, where my memory stores the sort of concepts and emotional resonances of a thing, but not the exact referent that would let me direct people to it, which probably isn't good for stream banter, but I do my best. "Not quite all," admitted the queen. She snapped her fingers, and a girl appeared in the room before the wolf. She was a quite attractive little devil girl with dainty horns and delicate wings. Unlike the queen and her copycats, this girl's hair was jet black, pulled into 2 loose bunches, and she wore a ragged dress of dusty black. "Mickey?" The wolf was amazed. Surely this wasn't the imp girl Fiore had sent him to ask about. "It's Makisha now," gloated the queen before the girl could respond. "As you can see, Fiore's little imp isn't going to fit back into her cage anytime soon." "Actually, I can shrink back anytime." The girl grinned prettily. She lacked the airy perfection of the other succubi, but was still damn cute. "It's handy for hiding." Mania gave the girl a dirty look. Doubtless Makisha would be punished later for contradicting the queen, but if she really was a Zaradai imp, then Mania was making a big mistake. Imps were almost compulsively disobedient, and controlling them through force of will was all but impossible. The wolf pricked up his ears and gave the girl a smile of his own. "You wanna stay here?" "They're teaching me lots of cool stuff, and Mania gives me magic powers." "That's great, but do you want to stay?" "Yes," lied the imp. "Thanks to Mania, I have a great destiny." And with that, the girl disappeared into thin air. Mania smiled, magnanimous in victory. The wolf shrugged. "I'm only helping Fiore as a favor to his sister," he explained. "Half-sister," added the queen. "Sheala is one of mine." "Aye, but her father, Vu'urtokaan, is a big scary dude, and if you get on his bad side, you might need to move your palace." He tilted his head. "You may be queen of the dead, but we both know he rules the 8th plane with a big, spiky fist." "My palace exists on many planes of reality, Jack, and I doubt Vu'urtokaan would go to war over a single imp." "I guess not. Oh well, not my problem." He gently pushed away the girls who were crowding him and stooped to scoop up his jacket. "Time for me to leave." "Oh, but no mortal can leave the realms of the damned, Jack. Why not stay here? We can make your stay that much more enjoyable." "No, that's okay. I appreciate the offer, really I do, but while nobody's going to go to war over an imp, you can bet your shapely-ass Sheala will go to war if I don't make it out of your palace." Willow winced and turned the page. How much of this was there? Her eyes hurt from squinting at the scrawl, and her brain hurt from the spelling and the grammar. That last section had been especially hard going. She scanned the first line of the new page and breathed a sigh of relief. Oh good, an epilogue. Maybe this will explain what I just read. Makisha's Primo Dead Good Story Epilogue. It turned out that Mania's palace did indeed have connections to the mortal realm. It had taken Jack several hours of tense sneaking, but he'd managed to gain access to a portal room and slip through while nobody was looking. When the purple mist faded, he found himself in a dark corner of his local bus station, close to where he'd parked his motorbike 3 days ago by his own memory. Although time in hell was hardly predictable, it still felt like morning. Could even have been the same morning. He made a mental note to check the date ASAP and fix the time on his wristwatch. He was pleased to find his bike exactly as he'd left it, as though his little trip to hell had never happened. He reached into his jacket pocket, but instead of his keys, he pulled out a giggling, wriggling imp girl. She pushed out of his grip with surprising strength and jumped free, expanding in midair to her almost normal size. Free! We made it! Mickey. He stared. This wasn't good. It worked! Mikisha danced happily. I hid in your pocket and you snuck me out of hell. I'm so awesome! Jack frowned. I thought you said you had a great destiny. I do now, she agreed eagerly. I can't wait to see what it is. So the vision was of her getting out of hell. Her destiny lies elsewhere,
Yep. Ta-da! The story of Mickey. Of course, in later retellings, it includes, hanging off the skid of a helicopter, firing a machine gun while everything's exploding.
Okay. Well, I can certainly do at least one more chapter. See how...
I don't think this is a long one.
You do or don't think this is a long one?
I don't think this is a long one.
Okay. Especially with the title like, So, to review.
It starts with Giles.
Yeah. Okay, so oh hey, we get the title line in the very first sentence, and that's alright, and that's Giles. Okay, so go ahead.
So, to review, you killed the frat boy vampires.
Plus one human.
Quite. Frat boy vampires, plus one human.
With their own weapons.
Yes, without the aid of your enhanced strength.
I'm still strong, protested Mickey, producing her plastic card from seemingly nowhere. I'm an exemplar 3, remember? Faster and stronger and tougher and more good at stuff.
Duly noted. So tell us, what happened next?
Well, then I went after Sheridan. I hurt her a lot. Buffy had a certain amount of professional interest. Is she good? Mickey shrugged. She might be once she heals up. I poked a couple of swords through her and went straight for her boss. He was pretty tough. Was? He's still alive, but I drained a bunch of magic out of him. The big evil magic thingy? The vampires are using it for extra power, same as I do, so I was able to pull some of it out of him, and he was not happy. I sort of told him I was going to drain all the magic out of him and leave him a corpse. Giles blinked.
Can you do that?
No idea. Funny, though. He panicked and tried to bite me, so I headbutted him and kind of squished one of his eyes with my horn, which was gross. Buffy pulled a face. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, that's when I heard people shouting, and I decided it was time to go. But that was me, protested Buffy. Me and Angel. Didn't you recognize our voices? Sure I did, but I was naked, and there was a dead guy and a dead woman. It looked bad. And we'd already had that thing last night. I didn't want you getting the wrong idea. Mickey gave the blonde girl a dry look. Again? So you ran away? On the streets? Naked without your illusion? It worked out okay, though. Mickey shrugged. Cordelia rescued me. I spent the night at her place. We're friends now. Willow checked the next few pages of the workbook to confirm that there wasn't any more to the story. Her mind was reeling as she mentally catalogued the things she'd learned about her friend. The story answered many questions about the girl's unusual abilities, but at the same time it left so much unexplained. and raised so many more questions besides. The wolf in this story, Jack, wasn't an ordinary wolf at all. He was an impossibly cool wolf man who walked and talked and owned a motorcycle. And unless you'd read the story wrong, he had a half-succubus girlfriend. How did that work? Was that even safe? If Makisha's succubus powers came from mania, why hadn't she lost them when she left? Were they a permanent gift from the queen, or were they something the girl had relearned by herself? Or, knowing her talent for stealing magic, had Mickey somehow simply kept hold of the abilities by force of will? And where did the illusion spell come from? It made sense that succubi would be able to speak and understand all human languages, but they could change their form whenever they wanted. Another part that was missing from the story was Mickey's time in the arena with the arch-succubus Tasha Bejan. Clearly she'd survived and must have had some form of training. Perhaps the physically powerful demons had fighting styles that made the best use of their great strength, which was something Buffy could benefit from if Mickey was prepared to share her secrets. And the workbook in Willow's hands implied that Imp was happy to do exactly that. I hope Buffy's not being too hard on her. You made friends with Cordelia? Buffy was astonished. Double astonished, in fact. Cordelia made friends with you? Yeah, we talked. Once she realized I was having a rough night, she took pity and let me hide in her car. In the trunk, I bet, groused Buffy. Obviously. My illusion was popped and I needed to get out of sight. Mickey sighed. Anyway, she took me to her place and I got a shower and cleaned up and we talked a bit. She's pretty clever. Giles furrowed his brow, unsure how to feel about the friendship.
This chase apparently helped Mikisha refine her cover story. She's now from Moldova, which explains why she was able to understand Miss Calendar yesterday when she was speaking Romanian.
Buffy tilted her head. Kinda surprised me, that. Was a bit out of left field. Mickey announced she's a superhero with special powers, and suddenly they're both talking foreign. She was just testing me on some languages, Mickey said. I still think it's weird that people from a single species can't even talk to each other. Don't you hell beasties have their languages? Some of the older clans have their own special words and stuff, but everybody speaks Dark Tongue. Well, the ones who can speak. Some talk using magic or whatever. This was something Giles already knew, but he had a chance to corroborate the Navarro account.
What about the damned souls?
He asked.
Did they have to learn it?
Frustratingly, Mickey just shrugged. I don't know. Not my department, really. I never had any trouble talking to people, and never heard anybody talking that I couldn't understand. Well, unless they were being weird, or using tricky words. Giles grumbled, and Mickey gave him a pitying smile. This is Buffy?
Oh, this is Buffy now. Well, that's unclear.
Back to this cover story, she suggested. If you're coming round to my house and meeting my mom, you'd better get your lies sorted in advance. Why? Nobody seems to mind when I say crazy stuff. Because it's my mom. I don't want your spell messing with her any more than necessary. Got it? The girl blinked, then nodded. I guess. Jenny Calendar was outwardly calm, but on the inside her mind was racing. Makisha Nichols wasn't human. She wasn't even remotely human, and there was some powerful magic acting to conceal the fact. But, and here the puzzle just grew stranger, what was she? She seemed so friendly and innocent, but Jenny knew she couldn't trust her instincts in that regard. She had sat right next to the girl and, even with her suspicions, sensed nothing amiss. Even her magically enhanced webcam hadn't been able to penetrate the glamour. Although now the girl was out of range, Jenny could see the truth. Stubby little horns, red-tinted skin, and what looked like wings folded up behind her shoulders. Jenny knew Sunnydale had a demon problem, but she'd never heard of any that could fly. Normally, she would ask Rupert, but it looked like he'd been taken in by the deception. He believed her to be an exchange student from Europe. Jenny rolled her eyes at the lie. No, as much as the demon seemed to enjoy playing human, she was clearly up to no good and would have to be stopped. Somehow. Giles, whined Buffy. Make her stop. The librarian removed his glasses and massaged the bridge of his nose.
By doing what exactly? You've had your schoolwork open for all of 5 minutes and you've done nothing but complain the whole time. I've been sat right here and Makisha hasn't done anything untoward.
I know that, admitted the Slayer, eyeing the imp warily. She is doing that creepy smile again. It's wigging me out. Mickey was sat over at the furthest table. I'm reading about some animals, she announced. It's weird. They look just like normal animals, but they've all got smiley faces, like they're really friendly. Buffy shot Giles a look. That book's for what, kindergarten?
Likes the pictures, and it keeps her quiet while I redraft my notes. You know you're perfectly welcome to return to your history class any time.
Not worth it now. I don't know what excuse Willow gave Mr. Miller. She shrugged, disinterested. It'd be awkward.
Perhaps. That was Buffy.
Okay, and you'd better warn Mickey that animals in the real world aren't all friendly cartoons, or she's gonna find some way to get eaten by something. You mark my words.
Maybe you could take her to the zoo this weekend.
Buffy grimaced. Pass. I'll ask Xander. I could ask Larry. Mickey didn't look up from her book. He likes me, and he's fun. Buffy remembered that the girl's hearing was as sharp as her own, and although she seemed oblivious, she could hear every word. Being on the other end of that was quite a reversal. Giles raised a brow, surprised for an entirely different reason.
Larry?
He vaguely recalled the name.
Larry Bladell? Isn't he on one of the sports teams?
Good point, Runicorn. The zoo might not even teach Mickey that the animals aren't friendly. Since they'll all be, carefully under controlled conditions and all, yeah. Buffy nodded. Oh yeah, I didn't mention. Larry has a crush on Mickey. They met at the Bronze, and so far he's behaving himself. He's a sweet guy, confirmed Mickey. And he's got big muscles. I bet he'd be fun to snuggle with. But then he'd probably be expecting some stuff to happen, and I don't think either of us really wants that. Giles coughed.
Indeed not. Perhaps you should hold off on the, snuggling?
He shot Buffy a concerned glance, which she returned. Zoochosis is an actual thing. I've never heard that term before. So you might need to elaborate a bit, right? Especially since Sunnydale Zoo also has that pack of demon hyenas. This is in the 90s, so nature documentaries are certainly on the table.
I think just showing her animals that haven't got big cartoony smiley faces like in the book she's looking at.
Especially if the girl's actually a succubus. Oh, animals, okay. Cabin fever for wild creatures made to live in enclosures, yeah, gotcha. But I like snuggling with humans, insisted Mickey. Your body temperature is lower than mine, and sometimes at night I get a little hot. Yeah, I bet, grumbled the Slayer. She closed her textbook, frowning. When you say humans, you do mean boys, right? The imp stuck out her tongue. I'm not talking about rude things. Snuggling's just nice. It's not my fault girl skin's softer and nicer than guy skin. Giles coughed again, and Buffy rolled her eyes. No, I'm sorry I asked. Real? His girl skin's softer and nicer, yeah.
Mickey's comment that she doesn't think either her or Larry wants any more Her succubus talent lets her know that Larry is not really interested.
Ah, right. Yes.
So she was able to pick him out because he hasn't come out yet as gay at this point
Right.
in the story, but Mickey knows he's safe.
Mickey wanted to take the animal book home, so Giles helped her fill out the paperwork for a school library card and handed her a temporary cardboard one for the time being.
Your permanent card will require a colour photograph.
He pointed out.
They usually take a photo for your school file. Has that been arranged yet?
No, I don't think so. The imp frowned. Oh no, my illusion doesn't work on cameras and stuff unless I'm right there. Giles removed his glasses.
So if somebody takes your picture?
It'll look fine until I go away. The spell wears off when I leave. This matched the story Mrs. Baxter had told him about Makisha's enrollment form. Everything had looked normal at first, but on later examination she saw the truth and predictably couldn't handle it. Buffy wandered over to the counter. Isn't there some way to take a photo of the illusion? Using a magic camera film or something? Mickey nodded eagerly. Like the opposite of a true seeing spell. One that only sees lies.
That sounds unlikely, but it should be feasible at least. I'll do some research.
Buffy put a hand on Mickey's shoulder. You got your book? Time to go meet Willow. Next period was study hall, which meant Buffy and Willow could keep a close eye on the imp so she didn't do anything else weird. Buffy steered her charge through the corridors, but halfway to their destination she found herself pushing against empty air. Mickey, she hissed, looking around frantically. Don't do that in public. The girl had blinked herself to a door and was studying the colorful construction paper shape stuck on the outside. I know these things. Musical instruments. She pointed to the engraved plaque on the door. Music room. She put her ear to the wood. Pretty quiet in there. Buffy lunged to stop her, but Mickey was too fast. She pushed the door open a crack and teleported in. Damn it. Buffy grabbed the handle and ducked in after her. What are you doing in here? She demanded. The girl pointed around the room. I wanted to check out the stuff, see what's the same. Buffy tilted her head. Right, and recognize anything? Bangy drums, the twangy things, and the diddly widdlies, she said, pointing out the drums, guitars, and piano. Sure, diddly widdlies. So, you play any of these? I can do the plinky plunks, she exclaimed. The Slayer clapped a hand to her forehead. Fine, whatever. Can we go? Willow looked up in relief as Buffy entered the room with Mickey in tow. She beckoned her friend over, and the pair hurried over to sit nearby. Buffy! Gasped Willow, pushing a workbook into her friend's hands. You need to read this. Mickey scooched her chair over, grinning. You read it already? What did you think? Is it good? It's, interesting. Interesting enough to sell? Pressed the imp. Sell? You mean to Giles? For the council? She thought for a moment. Probably. It's first-hand information, after all. I could tell so many stories, enthused Mickey. I've had loads of cool adventures, been to loads of places, met all kinds of creatures. They glanced over to Buffy, who was frowning as she read. Mickey let out a sigh. Aw, man, she doesn't like my story. Willow shook her head. It raises a lot of questions, and we already had a lot of questions. The imp blinked. Oh? Like what? Well, you told us your clan was from the middle ring of the 8th plane of hell, but when you filled out an application form for the school, you wrote your home address as the outer ring. Mickey shrugged. That's easy. I was born in the middle ring, but then I moved to the outer ring. She tilts her head. What else? What else? Willow felt silly. I don't know. I know it feels like we're being paranoid, but every little weird thing makes us wonder what's behind it. Mickey nodded, not offended in the least. I know how it is. I'm too good to be true. A beautiful superhero from another world wants to be your friend. You have to wonder, hey, what's the catch? Really, I get it. Well, okay. Well, what's the deal with your succubus powers, huh? Are you a succubus or not? The imp shrugged. Nope. I can remember how some of their tricks work, but I never completed the training, never got the upgrade. Succubi are made of magic. I'm just regular old flesh and blood. Well, how about your age? If you were fully grown when you left the palace, why haven't you gotten any older? Mickey blinked. I don't know. Never thought about it. If you looked this way 15 years ago, you should be in your 30s by now. Ew, you mean old? I think it's a superpower. I'm a mutant now, remember? It's on my card. But... Willow leaned closer, keeping her voice to a whisper. How can that happen? Weren't you just pretending to be a mutant so nobody would realize you were... She dropped her voice even quieter. A devil? Mickey frowned. Oh yeah, that was the plan, but they made us do a whole bunch of tests, and they said we both had mutant pants. Willow's left eye twitched. Genes? Yeah. It turns out my magical teleportation actually uses worms. Wormholes. That's right. Hey, you are smart. Oh boy. Well, now we have told the a fruitful snippet of Mickey's backstory. I wish you had mutant pants. Oh, I'll mutate your pants. What? What does that even mean? Okay, and we've told the story of how Mickey beat up the vampires like 3 different ways. And okay, what's good?
I don't think we've got the story in here of how Mickey created a god.
Created a god?
Yeah, the best friend Verity.
Oh, that Verity is a creation of Mickey's?
I don't think she's in this story. Oh, I don't think that story is in this story. Verity's in it, just as a passing thing.
I see.
That's where most of Mickey's power comes from, and the spells and such. Verity created them to keep her safe, and also to thank her for creating her.
Okay. Well, that'll have to go into one of the other stories, huh? Alright. I think, however, I am going to wrap up there. My stomach just gave a low rumble. That's... It would be very funny if that showed up on the microphone. I don't think it did, though. But we will resume next time from chapter 36. We've
got 5 chapters done.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, those were quick ones, but good ones. We are... Alas, you did not... You think that would be amusing to you, to hear my stomach growling? Oh, gosh. But yeah, we are almost halfway through, because 77 chapters, so this is like 36x2, 72. And at this again next week, same time, or do you got anything going on next weekend?
I don't think I have anything planned.
Oh, wait, there's a chance I might be engaged next week.
Okay.
We are talking indeed about another meetup. Might fall on that Sunday. It's going to depend on some of Moth's work situation that she needs to look into when she gets back to work tomorrow. But yeah, I will let y'all know.
The week after, I am completely unsupervised.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I am available from whenever to whenever.
Gonna be partying hard, I'm sure.
Probably not. I might try out that box of Zombicide that I've got but never yet opened.
Zombicide, okay. Board game?
Yeah, I bought it mostly for the zombies, but it's also a
Right. Alright, well, whenever it may fall, until then, my friends, live with honor, and your heart is unassailable. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Let me go, there's no doubt. Gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly. Let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure. Space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score. We've been here once before. So many words unspoken. You took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm I don't think of you. Don't call me up when you're feeling blue. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm I don't think of you. Let me go. It's a new adventure. It's a new adventure. I will surrender. On a new adventure. I will surrender. Let me go on a new adventure.